The Formula One world has been shaken to its core, not by an unexpected crash, a controversial penalty, or a last-lap overtake, but by a whisper, an unconfirmed but persistent rumor that has snowballed into one of the most electrifying pre-season storylines in recent history. It's a story so outrageous, so staggering in its implications, that even the most experienced paddock veterans are struggling to believe it. Yet, the murmurs refuse to die down, and the more people dig, the more it appears that there might be some shocking truth to it. Ferrari, the most iconic and historically dominant team in Formula One, might have finally found the answer to their years of frustration, mismanagement, and missed opportunities. The rumor? Their 2025 challenger, the SF-25, is said to be an entire second per lap faster than the car it replaces, the SF-24. A second per lap. Not a tenth, not 2/10, but a mind-blowing, earth-shattering full second. In a sport where performance improvements are measured in fractions of a second, where teams spend hundreds of millions trying to shave off a couple of tenths, the notion that Ferrari could have made such a quantum leap is almost unfathomable. And yet, that is exactly what multiple insiders, anonymous sources, and whispered reports from within Maranello are suggesting. If this is even remotely accurate, the ramifications are beyond enormous. The Formula One grid, as we know, it could be completely rewritten. The established pecking order could be obliterated overnight. The dominance of Red Bull and Max Verstappen could be in serious jeopardy. The struggle of Mercedes to return to the front could become an even steeper uphill battle. And most tantalizingly of all, it could set the stage for one of the most historic and emotionally charged title fights in the history of the sport, a battle between two legends, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, with Ferrari and Red Bull locked in an all-out war for supremacy. Hamilton's move to Ferrari was already one of the biggest shocks in F1 history. A seven-time world champion leaving the team that had brought him 6 of those titles, turning his back on Mercedes, the organization he helped shape into a juggernaut, to gamble on a team that has spent the last decade underperforming, self-sabotaging, and making strategic blunders of epic proportions. At the time, it seemed like a romantic but risky decision, a final career move based more on passion than pragmatism, a last roll of the dice to chase that elusive 8th world championship. But now it might turn out to be the smartest move he has ever made. The thought of Hamilton, armed with the most dominant Ferrari in decades, hunting down Verstappen in a season-long war for the title, is almost too good to be true. But how did we get here? How has Ferrari, after years of disappointment, after season upon season of wasted potential, suddenly found the magic formula to create what is being described as an unstoppable machine? The origins of this rumor are as fascinating as they are mysterious. It started with whispers, leaked snippets of data from early simulator runs, hushed conversations between engineers, vague but tantalizing comments from insiders. At first, nobody took them seriously. Every team hypes up their new car before the season begins. It's the oldest trick in the book. But then the details started piling up. First, it was aerodynamic breakthroughs. Ferrari had reportedly developed a revolutionary new floor concept, a design that maximized ground effect far beyond anything seen before. Then came reports of an overhauled power unit, one that not only produced more raw horsepower but had also significantly improved reliability and energy recovery. But the biggest shock came when word got out that Ferrari had somehow managed to reduce the SF-25's weight by a staggering margin, a factor that had been holding them back for years. Weight has been a huge Achilles heel for Ferrari in the past. The SF-24 was already a decent car in certain conditions, but it suffered from inconsistencies, particularly in low-speed corners and over race distances. By cutting down the weight, Ferrari has reportedly unlocked an entirely new level of balance, responsiveness, and tire management. The result? A car that is not just fast in qualifying, but can maintain its pace over a full race stint without chewing through its tires. That's when things really started to get interesting. Whispers from Maranello suggested that early simulations had already shown massive gains. At first, the engineers thought the data was wrong. The numbers were too good to be true. Then the physical tests started, secretive closed-door runs at Ferrari's Fiorano test track, away from prying eyes, away from FIA scrutiny, away from the watchful gaze of rival teams. What they saw reportedly left even the most hardened Ferrari engineers stunned. The SF-25 wasn't just fast, it was dominant. Reports suggest that the car's lap times were consistently faster than the SF-24, and not just by a small margin. The improvements weren't limited to just one type of corner or just one track condition. It was faster everywhere: low speed, medium speed, high speed, Wet conditions, dry conditions. The car just worked. The implications of this cannot be overstated. If Ferrari has truly built a second-a-lap faster car, then they haven't just made an improvement, they have made a statement. They have thrown down the gauntlet to Red Bull, to Mercedes, to McLaren, to the entire grid. And what about the competition? If Ferrari is really this fast, what does it mean for Red Bull? Max Verstappen has been the dominant force in Formula One for years, aided by Adrian Newey's genius and a car that has been practically untouchable since 2022. Red Bull has built a dynasty, crushing the opposition, making rivals look like amateurs. But dynasties do not last forever. There is always a moment when the tide shifts, when the balance of power starts to change. Is this that moment? Is this the beginning of Red Bull's downfall? Mercedes, meanwhile, is looking at this development with absolute horror. Losing Hamilton was already a devastating blow, but watching him potentially win a championship with Ferrari would be something else entirely. The Silver Arrows had already been struggling to match Red Bull, but now, if Ferrari has genuinely leapfrogged them, they might find themselves in a battle just to stay in the top three. So, is all of this true? Is Ferrari about to stun the world with the most dominant car we've seen in years? Or is this just another case of pre-season hype, a dream that will crumble the moment the SF-25 hits the track? One thing is certain, the anticipation has never been higher. The tension is palpable. Everyone in the sport, fans, drivers, team principals, engineers, is holding their breath, waiting for pre-season testing, waiting for the moment the stopwatch reveals the truth. Because if these rumors turn out to be even half true, 2025 is not just going to be another Formula One season. It is going to be a battle of epic proportions, a war for the ages, a fight that could define the legacy of legends, the rise and fall of dynasties, and the future of Formula One itself. And at the heart of it all, a scarlet-red Ferrari, a 7-time world champion with unfinished business, and a sport that might just be on the verge of witnessing history in the making. The shocking rumor that Ferrari's SF-25 could be an entire second faster per lap than its predecessor, the SF-24, has set the Formula One world ablaze, sparking endless speculation, heated debates, and a palpable mixture of excitement and disbelief. A full second per lap is not just an improvement, it is an earth-shattering, championship-altering, game-changing transformation that would send shockwaves through the paddock, forcing Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren into emergency response mode. If this outrageous claim holds even a fraction of truth, it would be the kind of performance leap that teams can only dream of achieving, the type of revolution that rewrites the established pecking order of the grid and reintroduces Ferrari as a genuine title contender after years of unfulfilled potential. But before Maranello's most passionate supporters allow themselves to indulge in visions of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, or perhaps even a newly arrived Lewis Hamilton, crossing the finish line in dominant fashion, there are crucial questions to dissect. Is this claim rooted in reality, or is it another case of pre-season exaggeration? How has Ferrari supposedly unearthed such an astronomical performance boost in just a few months? And perhaps the most important question of all, how will this translate when rubber meets the road and lap times become more than just figures on a simulator screen? This storm of speculation originated from whispers within Maranello's tight-lipped inner circle, leaks from simulator tests, and murmurs from engineers working tirelessly on the SF-25's development. Pre-season simulation data, while far from definitive, provides valuable insight into a car's early characteristics, and what surfaced from Ferrari's private performance evaluation stunned even the most optimistic insiders. Reports suggest that, in a controlled simulation environment, the SF-25 posted lap times that obliterated those of the SF-24 by a full second. Such a radical leap in performance defies conventional development patterns, where even the most aggressive upgrades typically yield only tenths of a second rather than an entire second, a margin that, if accurate, could single-handedly alter the competitive landscape. However, while Ferrari loyalists are clinging to these claims with renewed hope, seasoned observers are warning against premature celebration. Respected journalist Leo Taini, a veteran who has chronicled Ferrari's trials and tribulations for decades, remains unconvinced, reminding fans that while Ferrari may have improved significantly compared to itself, the true measure of progress depends on what Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren have been working on behind closed doors. These teams operate under a veil of secrecy, safeguarding their technical innovations with an intensity rivaling state-level intelligence agencies. Red Bull, led by aerodynamic genius Adrian Newey, has dominated modern F1 with innovations that consistently keep them a step ahead of the competition. Mercedes, despite their recent struggles, is known for their relentless pursuit of performance, and McLaren has been on a steep upward trajectory, showing signs of a resurgence that could see them challenge for victories once again. Ferrari's reported breakthrough may be monumental in isolation, but the real question remains: how does it stack up against what their rivals have in store? Inside Ferrari, cautious optimism is slowly turning into confidence. Engineers have hinted at radical changes across multiple areas of the SF-25's design, with particular focus on aerodynamics, suspension dynamics, and power unit efficiency. The most talked about innovation is the shift to a pull-rod front suspension system, an overhaul that, to the untrained eye, might seem like a minor tweak, but in the highly precise world of Formula One, represents a seismic change in vehicle behavior. This redesign influences weight transfer under braking, front-end responsiveness, and aerodynamic efficiency, potentially allowing the SF-25 to maintain higher cornering speeds without the unpredictable handling issues that plagued the SF-24. Ferrari's struggles last season were multifaceted, but one of the most glaring weaknesses was their car's inconsistent balance at high speeds. The SF-24 could be blisteringly fast over a single lap but became an entirely different beast over race distance, suffering from erratic handling and a sensitivity to track conditions that made race execution a nightmare. If the SF-25 has genuinely addressed this instability, it could dramatically alter Ferrari's race day prospects. But an improvement in mechanical grip alone is not enough to explain such an enormous performance jump. Ferrari's power unit, already known for its raw horsepower, has reportedly undergone extensive refinements, focusing on thermal efficiency, hybrid deployment optimization, and reliability. While F1's current engine freeze limits major power unit developments, manufacturers are still permitted to improve durability and energy recovery, and Ferrari appears to have maximized every available opportunity within these regulations. Improved thermal management allows for more aggressive cooling strategies, reducing drag while maintaining consistent power output, a critical factor when competing against Red Bull's aerodynamic superiority. Additionally, Ferrari's Achilles heel in recent seasons has been tire degradation, a persistent problem that has often derailed their races despite promising qualifying pace. The SF-24 struggled with excessive rear tire wear, forcing Ferrari into compromised race strategies that put them at a disadvantage against teams like Red Bull, whose RB19 was a tire management masterclass. If the SF-25 has been designed with a more even weight distribution, refined suspension kinematics, and a smoother degradation curve, it could finally provide Ferrari with the ability to maintain pace deep into a stint, closing a critical gap that has long handicapped their race performance. However, skepticism remains warranted. Ferrari has been in this position before, showing flashes of brilliance in pre-season only to falter when real racing begins. Simulator data, while useful for development, is no substitute for real-world conditions, where track evolution, fuel loads, tire degradation, and race dynamics all play decisive roles. The Scuderia has a history of delivering promising winter performances, only for unforeseen issues to emerge once the lights go out for the first Grand Prix. Optimism must be tempered with realism until the SF-25 is put through its paces in genuine racing scenarios. If Ferrari's claim of a 1-second gain is legitimate, then this isn't just an improvement, it's an F1 power shift of historic proportions. It would mean that Red Bull's dominance is facing its first real challenge in years, that Mercedes' aggressive development strategy needs immediate reassessment, that McLaren's resurgence might not be enough to keep them in the fight. It would mean that Ferrari, after seasons of inconsistency and near misses, has finally unlocked a car capable of challenging for race wins on a weekly basis, rather than relying on strategic miracles or capitalizing on others' misfortunes. It would mean that, for the first time in over a decade, the Tifosi could dare to dream of a championship that doesn't slip away in the crucial moments. But all of this remains speculation until Ferrari proves it on track. The next few weeks will be decisive. If the SF-25's performance matches the hype, the Formula One world is in for one of the most dramatic shifts in recent memory. If not, it will be yet another chapter in the long saga of Ferrari's unfulfilled potential. The anticipation is reaching fever pitch, the tension is almost unbearable, and the stakes have never been higher. The moment of truth is coming, and whatever happens next will shape the future of the Scuderia. The entire racing world is holding its breath. Ferrari's SF-25 has become the epicenter of a storm of speculation, a vortex of anticipation, and a catalyst for what could be the most dramatic power shift in Formula One in years. The murmurs escaping from Maranello are not just whispers of incremental improvements or cautious optimism. They are bold declarations, near-revolutionary claims that have left even the most skeptical insiders raising an eyebrow. The numbers emerging from Ferrari's state-of-the-art simulators and wind tunnel tests suggest something bordering on the extraordinary, a leap in performance that could rewrite the hierarchy of the sport. If the data holds true under real-world conditions, this is not just a step forward for Ferrari, this is a quantum leap. This is the kind of progress that does not just close gaps, it erases them. But therein lies the problem, the eternal chasm between theory and practice, between controlled conditions and the unpredictable chaos of a Grand Prix weekend. Formula One is littered with cautionary tales of teams that believed they had built a world beater, only to be cruelly exposed once the lights went out on race day. Ferrari, more than anyone, knows this pain all too well. They have walked this road before, filled with grand promises and shattered expectations. The SF-90 was a bullet in a straight line but suffered from catastrophic instability in corners. The SF-1000 was supposed to be a technological masterpiece and instead became a case study in failure. Even the SF-75, which looked like a title contender in 2022, ultimately proved too fragile, too inconsistent, too error-prone to sustain a championship fight. And yet, despite all of this, something feels different this time. Something about the way Ferrari has approached the SF-25's development suggests a newfound level of discipline, a ruthless efficiency that has often been lacking in past efforts. This is not just a refined version of its predecessor, it is, by all accounts, a machine built with an entirely new philosophy. The first and most radical overhaul is in aerodynamics. Ferrari's engineers have gone beyond mere refinements, they have rewritten the script entirely. They have treated airflow management not just as an area of improvement, but as an obsession, a guiding principle around which the entire car has been sculpted. Every surface, every curve, every minuscule detail of the SF-25's bodywork has been designed with surgical precision to manipulate airflow in a way that maximizes downforce without creating unnecessary drag. This is where Ferrari has often struggled in recent years, building cars that were either too sluggish on the straights or too unstable through corners. The SF-25, if the reports are to be believed, has broken this cycle. It is a car that promises both straight-line speed and aerodynamic efficiency in high-load sections, a delicate balance that only the very best teams in history have managed to perfect. But it's not just the aerodynamics that have undergone a transformation. The power unit, arguably the most crucial component in Ferrari's resurgence, has reportedly seen one of the most significant evolutions in recent years. It is not just a matter of raw horsepower, though early figures suggest that Ferrari has squeezed even more performance out of an already formidable engine. The real game-changer, however, lies in reliability and energy deployment. Ferrari's Achilles heel in previous campaigns has been their engine's durability under sustained high-load conditions, with power unit failures costing them crucial points in championship battles. This time, the development team has placed a premium on consistency, ensuring that the SF-25's engine does not just produce immense power but delivers it with unwavering reliability over an entire race weekend. Sources close to Maranello claim that these combined innovations could translate into an average lap time improvement of 0.5 seconds over the SF-24, a figure that might not sound groundbreaking in isolation, but in the microscopic world of Formula One, where gaps between the top teams are often measured in hundredths of a second, this is a seismic shift. Half a second per lap is the difference between a midfield struggler and a championship contender. Half a second is the chasm that has separated Ferrari from Red Bull. If these projections hold true, Ferrari is not just back in the fight, they are in a position to dictate the pace. And yet, speculation means nothing until the SF-25 is truly tested under battle conditions. That moment of truth will come when Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc take the car to the limit in Barcelona. Hamilton's arrival at Ferrari is more than just a historic transfer, it is a statement of intent. He has not left Mercedes to finish second. He has not risked his legacy on a gamble. He is here to win an 8th world championship, to cement his place as the greatest driver of all time, to do what even Schumacher never did, bring Ferrari back to the pinnacle of the sport after years in the wilderness. His influence is already being felt, his feedback shaping the final refinements of the SF-25. If Ferrari has built something truly special, Hamilton will know at the moment he exits turn 3 at Barcelona. His expression alone will tell the world whether the hype is justified. And then there is Leclerc, the young lion who has carried the burden of Ferrari's hopes for years, who has fought against the odds, who has suffered through mechanical failures, strategic blunders, and cars that have never quite been enough. Now he finds himself in the most intense battle of his career, not just against Red Bull, but against the most successful driver in history. For the first time, he has a teammate who is not just fast, but a proven champion, a relentless competitor who will not yield an inch. If the SF-25 is truly a weapon, Leclerc will have to prove that he can wield it better than anyone else. But even if Ferrari has built a car capable of challenging for the title, there remains one final towering obstacle: Red Bull. The RB20 is an evolution of a machine that has dominated the sport with an iron grip, refined by Adrian Newey's unparalleled genius and piloted by a Max Verstappen who has reached an almost untouchable level of dominance. Beating them will not be easy. It will require more than just raw pace. It will demand flawless execution, perfect strategy, and an unwavering belief that they belong at the top. All eyes turn now to Barcelona, the first real battlefield where truth will be separated from fiction. If the SF-25 flies around that circuit with a balance and precision that has eluded Ferrari for years, if Hamilton and Leclerc emerge from testing with a kind of confidence that cannot be faked, then the world will know Ferrari is back. And when Ferrari is back, the entire sport changes. The grandstands will turn red. The tifosi will roar with a passion that has been dormant for too long. The belief will return. Because when Ferrari rises, Formula One enters a new golden age. When Ferrari is strong, the championship takes on a level of intensity and grandeur that no other team can bring. This is more than just a new car. This is a moment of reckoning, a line in the sand, the difference between hope and heartbreak. Will the SF-25 finally be the machine that delivers Ferrari's long-awaited redemption, or is this yet another illusion that will shatter under the weight of reality? The answer is coming. The truth is near. The wait is almost over. And soon, the world will witness the moment that could redefine the future of Formula One. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari is not just a career change. It's a tectonic shift in Formula One history, a moment that will be dissected, debated, and remembered for decades. It's a gamble unlike any other in his storied career, a transition fraught with risk and reward, an attempt to carve his name into a new chapter of the sport's most prestigious team. After years of unparalleled dominance with Mercedes, where he rewrote record books and cemented himself as one of the greatest drivers to ever grace the grid, he now steps into the unknown, into the pressure cooker that is Maranello, into the unrelenting expectations of the most passionate, demanding, and emotionally volatile fanbase in motorsport. For Hamilton, the decision to leave Mercedes was not made lightly. This was the team that gave him 6 of his 7 world titles, the place where he ascended from a generational talent to an unstoppable force, the environment where he shattered every benchmark set before him. But Formula One is ruthless, and the last 2 seasons have been an excruciating reminder that without the right machinery, even the most skilled driver in history can be reduced to a mere contender, scrapping for podiums while others fight for championships. Watching Max Verstappen and Red Bull dominate with ease has been a bitter pill to swallow, especially after the heartbreak of 2021, where a controversial ending in Abu Dhabi robbed him of an 8th title that, in many minds, was rightfully his. Mercedes promised a comeback, assured him that the struggles were temporary, that they would rise again. But after 2 years of waiting, of hoping, of hearing the same reassurances, Hamilton finally made a decision that stunned the entire paddock. He was done waiting. Ferrari represents something bigger than just a team switch. This isn't about money, about sponsorship deals, about a cushy retirement plan in the most glamorous team in Formula One. This is about legacy. This is about proving that he isn't just a driver who flourished in an era of dominance, that he isn't simply a champion blessed with superior machinery, that his greatness transcends any one car, any one team, any one era. If he can conquer Ferrari, if he can bring them back to championship glory, he ascends to a level of immortality that few in the sport have ever reached. To win with Ferrari is to join a pantheon of legends: Michael Schumacher, Niki Lauda, Juan Manuel Fangio. It is to become more than just a racer. It is to become a part of the very fabric of the sport itself. But with such a monumental opportunity comes an even greater challenge. The expectations at Ferrari are unlike anything Hamilton has ever experienced. Mercedes had a culture of calm precision, of methodical problem-solving, of trust in long-term planning. Ferrari, on the other hand, is a whirlwind of emotion, of passion that can turn to fury in an instant, of a fanbase that will worship you one day and crucify you the next. The tifosi are relentless, their love for Ferrari absolute, their patience non-existent. They have waited since 2007 for a driver to deliver them a world title, have endured endless disappointments, false dawns, and shattered dreams. Hamilton may be a 7-time world champion, but that counts for nothing the moment he steps into that red cockpit. The only thing that matters is winning. And winning immediately. His presence at Ferrari disrupts the entire structure of the team. Charles Leclerc has spent years as the heir apparent, the golden child meant to lead Ferrari into a new era of dominance. He has suffered through the agony of near misses, through botched strategies that have cost him victory, through the frustration of carrying a team that has often been its own worst enemy. And now, just as he enters his prime, he is forced to share his kingdom with one of the most decorated drivers of all time. Leclerc will not bow easily. He will fight tooth and nail to assert himself, to make it clear that Ferrari is still his team. If Hamilton wants to lead, he has to take that position. And that means beating Leclerc, not just occasionally, but convincingly, race after race. And then there's the biggest unknown, the car. Ferrari has hyped the SF-25 as a game-changer, the machine that will finally allow them to take the fight to Red Bull on equal footing. But Hamilton has seen this script before. Ferrari has promised resurgence time and time again, only to fall short in the moments that matter most. How many times have they entered a season full of confidence, only for reliability issues, strategic misfires, and internal disarray to derail their hopes? Hamilton is not naive. He knows that no matter how great he is, his fate is tied to the car beneath him. If Ferrari gets it right, if the SF-25 is genuinely a world beater, he will finally have the weapon he needs to go toe-to-toe with Verstappen, to challenge Lando Norris, to reclaim his place at the front of the grid. But if the car is merely competitive without being dominant, if it lacks the crucial edge needed to fight for a title, then he could find himself in exactly the same frustrating position he left at Mercedes, fighting for podiums while Red Bull pulls further and further ahead. And if that happens, the criticism will be deafening. The opening rounds of the season will be critical. Hamilton cannot afford a slow start. If Leclerc gains the upper hand early, if he builds momentum while Hamilton struggles to adapt, the internal politics at Ferrari could quickly shift against him. The team has already suggested that team orders will come into play if one driver emerges as the clear championship contender. And Hamilton did not leave Mercedes to become a number 2 driver. If Ferrari backs Leclerc over him, if he is forced into a supporting role, the dream of an 8th title could evaporate before it even begins. And that's the brutal reality of this move. It is all or nothing. If he succeeds, if he wins a championship with Ferrari, he will undisputedly be the greatest driver of all time. No one will be able to question his adaptability, his skill, his ability to triumph across multiple eras and multiple teams. It will be the ultimate achievement, the perfect way to close his career, the final piece in an already legendary puzzle. But if he fails? If Ferrari implodes, if he cannot beat Leclerc, if the team politics swallow him whole, then the whispers will start. That he stayed too long. That he should have retired at the top. That he chased a dream that was never meant to be. There is no middle ground. If he wins, he becomes immortal. If he fails, it will be the most spectacular miscalculation of his career. And that is what makes this the most thrilling, most captivating, most high-stakes move in modern Formula One history. The Formula One world is holding its breath. Ferrari, a team that has spent years balancing on the knife's edge between resurgence and ruin, is at the center of the storm. The arrival of Lewis Hamilton, a man whose name is etched in the annals of racing history, has sent shockwaves through the paddock. There is no escaping the weight of expectation, no denying the seismic shift his presence brings. From the moment he stepped into the Ferrari garage, the energy changed. The atmosphere crackled with intensity, with the unspoken reality that this is not just another season. This is the moment that will define everything. From the outside, it seemed like a dream scenario. The most successful driver of the modern era stepping into the most iconic team in motorsport. The perfect union of legend and legacy. But behind the scenes, there were tremors. The first laps in Fiorano, the minor crash in Barcelona, small stumbles, but stumbles nonetheless. The kind of mistakes that would mean nothing for a rookie, but for Hamilton, they became fuel for speculation. Had he lost his edge? Was the transition to Ferrari proving more difficult than anticipated? Was this a sign of trouble to come? He didn't flinch. His feedback was relentless. He dissected every aspect of the SF-25, pushing the engineers for answers, demanding adjustments, refusing to accept anything less than perfection. Every second in the car, every lap, every data point, he absorbed it all with the precision of a man who knows what it takes to win. There was no hesitation, no self-doubt, only the single-minded pursuit of what he came here to do. He hadn't made this move for nostalgia, hadn't left the security of Mercedes for sentiment. He was here for one reason: to win. Ferrari has been haunted by ghosts. The promise of speed, the whispers of hope, the endless cycle of potential followed by heartbreak. There has never been a shortage of power under the hood, never a lack of raw pace in qualifying. But the races have told a different story. The brutal unraveling in the final laps, the steady erosion of grip, the helpless surrender to the inevitable. The one thing that has separated champions from challengers is the one thing Ferrari has struggled to master. Tire management has been their Achilles heel, a slow poison that has sabotaged their greatest chances. This time, they are leaving nothing to chance. The obsession with one-lap speed has been set aside. Long-run consistency is the new priority. Data is being torn apart, simulations are being pushed to their limits, every variable is being controlled. Pirelli has been more involved than ever, working in unison with Ferrari to finally find the balance that has eluded them for years. Every pit stop, every tire compound, every degradation curve, it is being studied with a level of detail that borders on the fanatical. The numbers are promising. The simulations are encouraging. But numbers and simulations mean nothing when the lights go out. Only then will the truth be revealed. Yet, even if Ferrari has built the perfect machine, even if the SF-25 is the answer to every problem that has plagued them, it still may not be enough. Because there is another force at play, a battle unfolding within their own walls. Two men. Two titans. One championship-winning car, and only one who can lead it. The clash was inevitable. It was written the moment Hamilton's contract was signed. Charles Leclerc has fought for this team through years of suffering. He has endured strategy blunders that left him screaming into the void, pit stop disasters that shattered races, reliability failures that stole victories from his grasp. He has felt the sting of being the nearly man, the driver who had the talent but never the machinery to match it. Now, after years of struggle, he finally has the car. He finally has the chance. And just as he reaches the precipice, just as he is ready to seize the moment, Ferrari brings in Hamilton. The legend. The 7-time world champion. The man who has seen it all, done it all, conquered it all. The rival he must now defeat if he ever wants to be more than a promising talent. Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari to be a supporting act. He didn't come here to play fair. His mission is singular, his goals unwavering. He wants his 8th title. He wants to silence every critic, every doubter who has dared to suggest that his time has passed. He wants to show the world that he is still the man to beat. There will be no deference, no concessions. The moment Ferrari's promise of equality begins to crumble, the moment the team starts favoring one over the other, the true war will begin. Leclerc knows this. He knows what it means to share a garage with a legend. He has seen what happened to Bottas, to Rosberg, to Alonso before them. There is no such thing as peace in a team with two alphas. It will start with subtle tensions. Minor disagreements over setups. Conflicting strategies in close races. A polite but loaded comment in the press. But as the season unfolds, as the stakes rise, as victories become the currency of control, it will escalate. One will become the team's priority. The other will have to fight for scraps. And in the corridors of Maranello, behind the closed doors of debriefs and meetings, the battle for supremacy will rage. Fred Vasseur faces the greatest challenge of his career. Balancing two drivers of this caliber is an impossible task. Someone will feel slighted. Someone will believe they deserve more. The harmony Ferrari claims to have now will not last. It never does. The only question is how long before the mask of civility slips. And then there is Red Bull. The ever-present force that looms over everything. Max Verstappen has ruled this era with an iron grip, his dominance absolute, his confidence unshaken. He doesn't care about Ferrari's internal drama. He doesn't fear Hamilton's arrival. He sees it for what it is, another opportunity to destroy a legend. He thrives on these moments, on the chance to stamp his authority over a field of rivals who dream of dethroning him. Ferrari is gambling everything. Hamilton is risking everything. Leclerc's future hangs in the balance. The SF-25 could be the breakthrough Ferrari has craved for so long, or it could be another cruel mirage, another chapter in the book of missed opportunities. The only certainty is that there will be no middle ground. It will either be a season of redemption, a return to glory that will echo through history, or a catastrophe of unimaginable proportions. The fans, the media, the world, they are watching. And as the first race looms ever closer, the tension builds. Because when the lights go out, when the moment of truth arrives, when every doubt, every question, every theory is put to the test, there will be no more speculation. Only reality. Only racing. Only the fight for supremacy in a season that is destined to be remembered forever.